if you want a woman to submit to you, you're going to have to earn her submission. And I don't only mean this in the BDSM Dom sub sense, right? Where you want a woman to submit to you and be in kind of this very clear relationship of like, I'm the Dom, I tell you what to do. If you get on your knees when I say so, and if you don't, you're a bad girl and I spank you and blah, 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 right? I also mean this in a general sense in dating, right? Or in a relationship sense, like let's say you want a very traditional relationship where the woman is subservient to the husband and blah, blah, blah. On every level, BDSM, marriage, relationship, or just the seduction process where she's kind of following your lead, if you want a woman to follow you, you have to be a good leader. And if you're not a good leader, there's no reason for the follower to follow you, right? Because at the end of the day, the leader is superior to the followers in some ways. But in other ways, he is a servant of the followers, right? A good king, let's say, with a kind of dramatic example, is a servant of the people. If he's not, he's probably not going to last too long because your army might be able to defend against the peasants. But if your army is also made up of a lot of peasants or former peasants who also don't like you, well, then who's going to defend you? And usually who ends up killing you? A lot of the times it's someone who was in your party, right? So a king, a follower, a leader, even just in a two-party army, right? You and her, me and you against the world, baby. You need to be providing her with a reason to continue following you. Now, when we talk about this, a lot of guys might think like, okay, I have to be really domineering or I have to be really strong. And it's usually taken to the extreme. Okay. Yes, a woman does want a man that'll put her in her place. And some women have the courage to admit that. And some don't, but it still lurks underneath as a very strong attractor for women when a man is able to kind of put a woman in her place when she gets a little bit testy, a little bit challenging is fine, right? But when it gets disrespectful and kind of like, hey, I don't really appreciate. Whereas a man who's a bit weaker and doesn't have that ability to put his foot down, he'll allow for these little transgressions. But the problem is that when little transgressions go unchecked for too long, they turn into medium-sized transgressions. And then those medium-sized ones turn into big ones. And then you have her outright disrespecting you or publicly disrespecting you. Now, that all takes time, and usually it doesn't happen in super dramatic fashion unless, like I said, it goes really unchecked by a guy who has a complete inability to put his foot down. But at the core of it, while a woman does want a man to put her in line when she needs it, at the same time, she wants a man who is willing to, in a metaphorical sense, put his jacket down on the puddle so that she can cross, get off the sidewalk. Okay, a man who is willing to take some time and energy and do things that he may not necessarily want to do just so that he can make his girl happy. And this could be demonstrated in a lot of ways. Like, for instance, when my wife was my fiance, after the war in Ukraine, we were figuring out how to get married because we had our marriage planned for June, but obviously, war, okay. But we wanted to get married as soon as possible, but it was really difficult when we were living in Romania to figure out how to do that. And I was also going through a really tough time personally. I was dealing with a lot of PTSD from what happened in Ukraine. And we eventually figured out that we're going to have to go back to Ukraine and to get married there. So we went back to Kyiv and we got the marriage ready. And then we came back to Romania. And then a week before we were supposed to go back to Kyiv, Russia decided to start bombing Kyiv again. And they hadn't touched it in like half a year. And so obviously I canceled that trip. And then we still wanted to push to do it. I was more okay with waiting, and it really upset her. And she wanted to do it as soon as possible because it kind of just felt like nothing was going right in our life. And this was the one thing that kind of would have at least given some level of like, okay, something went right this year. But I really didn't want to do it. I didn't want to travel all that time. I mean, when we went to Kyiv, we have to sit on a bus for 20 hours each way. Okay, so that's 40 hours just sitting in a bus. But I could tell that this was really important to her. So despite me dealing with all these panic attacks and anxiety attacks and just losing my fucking mind and being depressed, I still decided that, I'm going to deal with this pain to sit on a plane to go to this city in Romania, then take a bus or a car or a taxi from here to there, and then we got to cross the border on foot, and then we have to walk 30 minutes into this little town, and then wait for like a shitty dingy little bus here and go to this town, and then go from this town to this town, and then maybe take a taxi here. Like, it was a fucking mess, okay? And the whole way was it was annoying. I was dealing with shitty people, dealing with rude immigration. It was a whole thing. And at the same time, dealing with my mental shit. But I still did it, and I really didn't want to. But that's what made it an even greater sign that I was willing to go through pain for the person that I loved. Now, a lot of times in my past, when I was thinking like, oh, women like dominant men, they like, the man who's in charge and does what he wants, I had the perspective that, oh, that means you always get what you want at every point, and if you ever do anything you don't want, well, that's submission. And not only is it just not what I want to do, because why would I want to do something I don't want to do, but also she's going to be unattracted to you because you're submitting and you're giving in. And I had this really stupid fucking false dichotomy in my head that there's only domination, there's only submission. But that doesn't really make any sense, like with the example that I gave. Okay, like a good leader, if you want the position of leader, is going to make sacrifices for the people who are following him. And if he's not, there's no good reason for the people following him to continue to follow him, okay? If a president is not doing what the country wants, they vote his ass out or they assassinate him, okay? In some way, if you're not doing what your followers want, they're gonna find someone else. So actually, when you follow too extreme the idea that you get what you want and only what you want, and if she happens to also want it, that's great, but if not, well, what you want supersedes that. If you take that perspective, not only is it fucking retarded, it's actually, like, it doesn't make any sense, it's also going to hurt her attraction for you, because fundamentally it's actually a sign of weakness. Like, oh, you're not willing to sacrifice, and you can't endure the pain of not getting what you want so that you can give someone that you supposedly care about something that they want. And this is also something that guys who are like at the lower, even the intermediate stage when it comes to seducing women, they don't understand that a girl knowing you care about her is actually a really attractive thing. But what happens is you come from a past, usually a lot of guys come from a past where, oh, well, I would always go out of my way to do favors for girls and da-da-da, and then they wouldn't like me. And they think, okay, that means that being nice is unattractive. Again, really bad logic. It's just that you weren't attractive to her. Now, a few times you were just getting manipulated by manipulative women, but most of the time you just weren't attractive to a woman. But if you're attractive to a woman and you do nice things to her and really kind to her, there is almost nothing that is more attractive than that, because you make her pussy wet, but you also make her fall in love. And this is actually like a trick in seduction. When a girl doesn't feel like you care about her, okay, let's say a girl knows you're kind of a player. Maybe she knows your friends, or she just has you have that scent about you, you have that vibe that you're kind of a player. And she begins to suspect that she's just another one of your notches on your bedpost. One of the things that you can do to smooth out the seduction is to start showing more kindness to her and more compassion and being a little bit more vulnerable and more sweet. And then this makes her realize, oh, this guy's actually a good person. Now, I don't advise that you lie or deceive her into thinking that, you're going to be in love with her or you're going to have a relationship with her. No, that's if you get laid based off deception, you're just a pussy, okay? And you're a piece of shit. The reason why it's like a smart tactic is because even if you have something casual with a girl, I've actually had girls straight up tell me this, even if we're just fucking, I still want there to be some romance involved. I still want you to care about me as a person. Like, I don't want to go get fucked by a guy who thinks I'm a piece of shit. Why? You can there's gradients to spectrum. It's not just like, well, he's an asshole, but he's really hot, so I suck his dick because he's an alpha male. It's like, that can be true in some cases, but it's not a good long-term strategy. It's not consistent with a lot of different girls. It'll work on occasion, but it's not going to work a lot, and it's also going to be bad for retention. The only time that it's a really good strategy where you can just like say and do whatever you want, it's usually when you're significantly more attractive than the girl. Like, let's say you're a 9 and she's like a 6 or a 7. In those cases, some girls will just put up with it because they're like, at least I'm getting fucked by a really hot guy. That does happen. But for the most part, if you want to be sleeping with more attractive women, right? And you want to not be a piece of shit, you should also be motivated by morality. Being a kind person and a kind guy, it's going to make you a better seducer, okay? So when I'm talking about earning a woman's submission, is you can actually earn a woman's submission by being more vulnerable and more sweet and more kind to girls. But you, at the same time, have to be attractive to her. Okay, so I spent a lot of this video going over the sweet, kind, loving, respectful side of earning a woman's submission, right? But fundamentally, of course, if you're not attracting her, okay, which is not only about putting your foot down and respecting yourself, it's just about being attractive. Are you funny? Or do you have anything physically attractive about you? If you don't, the one thing that you can do is your fashion. Have a cool haircut, be well groomed, wear nice clothes, not anime t-shirts, but I'm just making a fucking YouTube video, okay? No, nice button downs, slacks, a nice belt, cool leather shoes. Like, learn about fashion, because if you're not a good guy, then you have to rely more on that. If you are a better looking guy, then it's not as necessary, but it does help. Might as well be a 10 out of 10 if you can reach it. Okay. But also, if you know anything about women are really attracted to a man's personality. Like I said, a sense of humor, your charisma. Do you know how to have a good conversation? Are you good at asking questions without them sounding like interview questions? Do you know how to delve deep into a conversation, right? Because good conversation is the ability to take this answer and ask a question from that answer, and then this branches into like 5 different directions you can ask. Well, why did you end up there? Or how did you end up there? Or what motivated you to end up there? And then that leads to a story, and she tells you a story for 20 minutes, and then that reveals so much about her history and her character, and you can go 1,000 different directions, right? But do you have the care? Do you care about her enough to ask these questions, right? Do you have the intelligence to be able to think of these questions, right? Do you have the experience and comfort with women that you can be relaxed enough around a girl to actually have some time to think about what you're going to ask her? Or are you, if you're inexperienced and kind of nervous around women, you're going to be like, oh, what do I say next? Da, 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 da. So you also need to get experience with women, okay? Which is also going to help with a girl submitting to you, right? And you earning her submission. But the only way you get that experience, you have to have your first couple wins, right? So you have to have something going for you. You got to be funny, you got to be sexy, you got to be charming, you got to be good at conversation, like I said. So it's a very multi-dimensional skill set of being a seducer, but it also moves into the level of a relationship. Okay, maybe you're good at picking up girls, but are you good at maintaining attraction? And there's so much that's involved with it. Is the sex going to remain consistent and hot? Are you going to remain attracted to her? Are you going to keep trying? Are you going to keep seducing her and romancing her? Or are you going to give up on that? Like, oh, I got her now. If you ever have a guy who has a dead bedroom situation and the girl doesn't want to have sex, like I remember Chase told me, he's like, he had some friend who was a pretty good seducer, pretty high value guy, like everything that Red Pill would say is a high value guy. But his wife would her girlfriend would stop having sex with him after, I think they had kids or something. And he was complaining to Chase about it. And Chase is like, I've never had that issue. And I'm like, yeah, me neither. I've never had the issue where a girl stopped having sex with me. And that's because I'm a very passionate person. So I have a very sexual energy. But I also keep seducing the girl that I'm with. If you don't like who you're with, then you shouldn't be with her, right? Oh, well, I just want to okay, now that we're together, I've seduced her, or we've married and we have kids and da-da-da. Well, I just want her to suck my dick on command, have sex with me whenever. But, I'm never going to flirt with her. I'm never going to, pinch her butt as I walk past her, walk up to her in the kitchen and give her a kiss on the neck, tell her how beautiful she looks, sit down and just listen to her for an hour and talk to her, involve her in my life. I mean, Jesus fucking Christ. No wonder the woman doesn't want to sleep with you. You're not trying anymore, okay? So at what point are we going to get it through our heads that if you want a woman to surrender to you, it's not just about being a dominant man, and it's not about fucking culture. Okay, this is the other big thing that I wanted to talk about, right? Some guys will think, oh, well, it's Western women or it's modern women. And I just filmed a video about slut shaming and when girls belong to the streets and how it's really prevalent now when I'm on Instagram or YouTube, like for guys to just straight up like call women whores and like, oh, this is fatherless activity and da 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 da. And they complain about modern Western women. And they have this retarded belief that there was some sort of golden age of women who, you know, that once upon a time women were virtuous, but now social media has ruined them. Social media didn't ruin anything. It just shows what's always been there. Okay. Or it's Western women. It's not because of modernity, or that's just one angle, but it's also because Western culture has been corrupted. I mean, in a lot of ways it has been corrupted, but it really doesn't have that big of an effect. If you're corrupted, it's because you were a piece of shit and you got corrupted. If you were truly virtuous, you should be incorruptible or only slightly corruptible. Okay. Oh, well, Eastern women are, bro. Guys say this shit, it's so fucking retarded. Like, it's so stupid. If you spent any time in Eastern Europe, like I remember there's this one, like, let's call it just like people in this industry, and they were talking about Romanian women, right? And they're like, yeah, Romanian women are really feminine. Bro, I spent like 5.5 years in Romania. Romanian women are not special, dude. They're more attractive on average. And they do tend to be slimmer on average, but when it comes to like, oh, their virtue and their morality, you need to go spend some time in Romania, my friend, right? They're just a different type of shitty, okay? They're not going to be like hyper, like slutty and like, yeah, look at my pussy on, you know, on Instagram. I mean, a lot of them are, like a lot of them I met were just as slutty and promiscuous as Western women, okay? In fact, one of the girls who I know at the highest leg count that I've ever heard of, I think it was like fucking 120 or 130, she was Romanian, okay? So all these girls, the Romanian girls would cheat on their boyfriends. I know because I slept with some of them back when I slept with girls with boyfriends, and it was a mistake. But yeah, they'll be bitches to their husband, assholes to their husband. They'll put their husband, you know, in the dog cage, you know, and kind of like make him submit. They'll like, in fact, actually, I think you're more likely to get bitched out by an Eastern woman because they do tend to be stronger, only because they're fucking poor. Right? And they're in a shittier situation, and that usually tends to grow a stronger, more resilient personality. So if anything, if you can't tame a Western woman, good fucking luck taming an Eastern European woman, right? Oh, I want to go find Asian girls and da-da-da. Look, dude, if you can't pick up Western girls and you go to Philippines or Thailand and da-da-da to get a girl, it might work for a while, right? You're going to seduce her, you're going to sleep with her, you're going to marry her, and she's going to be initially really, really cool because, I mean, you're bringing her out of shit, okay? Now, first of all, it's not a very good attraction model, okay? Secondly, it'll work at first, but I personally know someone whose mother and father are as, like, passport bro as you can imagine. The man's an American white guy, and the woman is a Filipino chick. And they're sweet, and I really love them, and they were very nice to me. But I will tell you that that Filipino woman, Lola, is a very strong-willed woman. And I'm going to tell you that Papa doesn't necessarily have the house in line, okay? Why? Well, actually, because he has the domineering attitude of it all. You listen to me and da-da-da-da-da. It doesn't work long-term because eventually the insecurity and the fearfulness and the weakness that is the foundation of a hyper domineering personality is exposed, and the woman can find alternative ways. She's not going to be like, hey, asshole, you know, I don't put up with that shit. She's not going to fight fire with fire. She's going to fight fire with water, right? And so she's going to have power and authority, but in indirect means. Okay, so most of you guys who think that you're going to circumvent the problem of Western women by finding a woman from Asia or Eastern Europe, good fucking luck, buddy. Now, if you do find someone who's very kind, that's cool, but I think it had very little to do with her culture. I'm going to be completely honest. Now, I did end up marrying a Ukrainian woman, so I suppose that you could call me a hypocrite, right? But I've had fantastic relationships with girls in the West, and I've met a lot of girls who were very kind. I wanted adventure. I wanted to see the world. And I happen to like the particular look of Eastern European girls. I like white girls. And I wanted a white blonde girl. So that's what I found. Okay. So I was very happy to find a foreign woman. Also because it was kind of cool to have a girl from a completely different culture. And I particularly was attracted to Ukrainian culture, and my heart felt like a magnetism towards it. Okay, because I spent a lot of time in Romania, but once I found Ukraine, I was like, oh, I like this even better. There's something different. It's more my taste. Okay, but my experiences with Romanian women, like, dude, I don't know, man, they seemed just as promiscuous and having all the flaws of Western women. A woman is a woman is a woman. I mean, girls are fucking girls. You might see 5% changes, but like, I might not even say that. Girls are girls, dude. I mean, a good girl in Romania is not going to be much different from a good girl in America. And a shitty girl in Romania is going to be pretty much the same as a shitty girl in America. But if you want to earn their submission, you're going to have to think a little bit more dynamically than she's foreign or she's from a third world country. You need to think more dynamically than just, I have to be domineering. You have to be attractive. And that doesn't just mean being physically attractive. It means, like I said, having an attractive personality and having game. Okay, you gotta have fucking game. And also you do have to make sacrifices at times. Because if you want someone to be your ride or die and she truly submits to you, then you need to be a very kind person who's willing to make sacrifices for her. And if she knows that deep in her heart, so her pussy gets wet for you because she's attracted to you, and also at the same time she knows that you would die for her, she'll give you everything. She'll give you the whole world. She'll treat you like a king. She'll suck your dick when you want to get your dick sucked. She'll do everything you want sexually. She'll be faithful to you. She'll be sweet to you. She'll have her disagreements, and when she does, kind of tip over that line of respect, you put her in her place, and then she'll be even more attracted to you because she'll be reminded, oh, I'm with a leader who can control me, but also has my best interests in mind and loves me and cares about me. That's how you earn a woman's submission. You earn it. It's not given. But a lot of guys out there right now in the world are lazy little pussy ass bitches, and they think that, oh, I can just press this special button and it's the cheat code. I need a foreign woman who's not corrupted by Western culture. Press, so I can just continue being exactly who I am. Wrong. Oh, well, I just need to be hyper domineering. Well, it's better than being a pussy ass bitch, but it's going to run you into trouble, right? A lot of really high value guys in the world, very like domineering, strong men who are hyper successful, millionaires, billionaires. I'm sure they get cheated on. I'm sure they get cucked all the fucking time, right? If being a high value guy was infidelity proof, then you'd never have any stories of girls cheating on high value men, but it happens a lot. Okay, all you need to do is go on the fucking internet and go to celebrity culture. How many times do guys get cheated on despite them being super high value? Exactly. Okay, so stop trying to take the quick get rich easy path. You got to do it the old fashioned way. Cultivate an attractive, charismatic, cool personality that is only created through your dating experiences and also your real life experiences, but it is an intentional, progressive path of becoming more charismatic, more sexy, learning how to have conversations, learning how to control your emotions, learning how, to talk to girls, understanding what women are actually attracted to. It takes time. It's a skill like any other. If you want women to surrender to you and to submit to you, and you want to be a leader, then you have to be worthy of it. And the only way to be worthy of it is to craft yourself into it. And if you're not willing to do the work, then okay, then take the results of not doing the work. You have a lot less pain that you're going to encounter, but none of the rewards and fruits. It's your choice. It's your life. So make the choice. Okay? Hector Castillo, girlschase.com. If you want to start to cultivate yourself into that man, I would consider doing coaching with me. I can help cut down on your learning curve a lot. It's expensive, but that's what you get for such high quality coaching and leadership in a way, right? Because I've taken the time to create myself and make myself into that guy, and I can cut your learning curve down a lot and save you years of struggling, because I'll know exactly what you need to work on, how to work on it, and to give you some motivation and advice along the way with each little specific situation, whether it's a girl who's not texting you back, you're having trouble getting dates, or you're having trouble getting laid, or you're having trouble in a relationship. I can do it all. It's not just day game. I can help you at bars and clubs, text game, relationship game, marriage, whatever it is, I can help you. So check out the description below and sign up for a consultation call. We can have a chat and see if we'll make a good pair and if I can help you achieve your dating and relationship dreams. Again, Hector Castillo, girlschase.com. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you very soon. Go earn a girl submission.